It brings me great pleasure to see everyone today. I am Genevieve Jeni. I am the SECAC board secretary. I'm filling in for Janie Payne, who is our chair. Unfortunately, she's unable to be with us today because she's on business travel. I would like to extend a warm welcome to each of you. Your presence here is a testament to your dedication to your children's education and well-being. I would first like to acknowledge the CCAC board. Janie Payne is the chair. Samantha Dawson Williams is our vice chair, and Alicia Baines is our treasurer. I don't know if you all are on, if you can put your cameras on to say hi. I would
Hi,
also like,
everyone.
thank you.
Hello.
I would also like to acknowledge any school board members who are in attendance. Say hi. Um, And I'd like to acknowledge our PGCPS partners, Chanel Bowman, Associate Superintendent of Special Education, and her team. We truly believe that the work of CCAC is a collaborative partnership between the school and our parents and caregivers. We have a full agenda today, first hearing from Chanel. We're also going to be introduced to Dr. Thea Wilson, who has recently been hired to fill the ombudsman position by interim superintendent Joseph. Then we will hear from Alita Jeree Carter, followed by Corey Smith, and then move on to parental comment period.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our February 24th, 2026 CCAC meeting. I'm just going to share some general updates as well as some upcoming events. We are always first to thank our Board of Education members for their unwavering support for special education in our district. We also would like to give a special shout out to our interim superintendent, Dr. Sean Joseph, for all that he is doing to ensure that students with disabilities receive services and adequate funding. Our upcoming events, there are a lot of upcoming events that we wanted to share with our families this evening, along with our caregivers and community stakeholders. The first thing I wanted to bring to your attention is our annual college and career fair. We will have 30 colleges and future employers represented. This is a very critical step in understanding what's available to our students. Keep in mind that when our students leave Prince George's County Public Schools, they have to be found eligible for accommodations and supports. Right now, being in a K-12 environment, you are entitled under the Individuals with Disability Education Act for services, accommodations, etc. However, once you leave Prince George's County Public Schools and exit, you have to self-disclose your information in order to receive accommodation. So it's very, very important. Even if you have middle school students, that you come out and learn about those college and career options, meet college reps, find internships, really ask questions, get advice, and just be inspired by what's to come in the near future. You can use the QR code here on the screen to register. That event is on March 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Charles Flowers High School. The next event that we wanted to share with you is our 15th annual Parent Empowerment Conference, where you will be informed, engaged, and empowered. It's a virtual conference that will last from March 25th through April 22nd of 2026. We'll be able to provide you with the conference schedule, registration links, session descriptions, and presenter bios. We also wanted you to know about our fourth annual Autism Summit. Again, for you as families and caregivers to be informed, engaged, and empowered. This will give you an understanding of navigating the resources that are available and really hearing about how we can build community and really think about the resources that are available for our community. Some of the topics will focus on community connections. We'll have a resource fair, local supports and services, and multiple speakers. We are so excited that Delegate Roberts will be joining us to bring greetings, as well as board member Moss. The last event I'd like to share with you is our Transitioning Youth Resource Fair. So just again, thinking about plans after high school is never too early. Even if you have elementary age students, it's never too early to begin to plan with the end in mind. And that Transitioning Youth Resource Fair will take place on April 25th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Fairmont Heights High School. And again, you can register by using the QR code there. The last update we wanted to share is the Maryland State Department of Education survey will open on Monday, March 2nd. It's very important that we hear your voice. Your perspective matters. I know that SECAC, the board, really looks closely at the results of our survey that comes from the Maryland State Department of Education, and some of our topics, some of our resources that we put out are driven by the survey results. So it's really important that we hear your voice so that we continue our journey to improve special ed services in Prince George's County. So that survey will be open from March 2nd to June 5th. And you can see the link right here where you can begin to complete that survey once it goes live. Just a few Prince George's County updates I wanted to share is that we do have our application available now from the Excellence and Foundation for Prince George's County, and we have various scholarships that are available. I'm just going to go to the link just so that you can see the dates of things that are available and how to apply. And so there's a separate link for each of the scholarships that they're providing. You can click on that link. So everything from the superintendent scholarship, service learning scholarship, culinary arts, leadership, technical scholarship, and trade scholarships. You'll see here the dates when everything is due, the application, the essay, and related documents, but all completed applications must be submitted by March 17th. So we did provide that link in there for you so that you would have that. And now, without further ado, I'm so excited that our new Prince George's County Public Schools Ombudsman has joined us to introduce herself to you, as well as the role of her office. So Dr. Thea Wilson, our Ombudsman, I'd like you to officially meet her, who has joined Prince George's County Public Schools, has joined us as the Ombudsman. So Dr. Wilson.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Bowman, for the opportunity to share with SECAC. I want everyone here to know that I'm no stranger to this body and Prince George's County Public Schools. I've been employed by Prince George's County Public Schools since 2013. My former role was the executive director of the Excellence in Education Foundation. I saw a question in the chat. Those scholarships are for any Prince George's County Public Schools graduating senior. So if you have a graduating senior, they can apply for any of those scholarships. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce my new role as ombudsman. I will say I've been a parent. I had a daughter who graduated from Prince George's County Public Schools, and she was part of the special education program. So I am very familiar with the needs of our special education department. But as the ombudsman, my goal is to support our school district's mission of equity and excellence by acting as a neutral bridge between our schools, our families, and our entire community. And so I'm here to ensure that any concerns that are complex, that are raised to our office, are handled with integrity and transparency, strictly aligning them with our administrative procedures and our board policies. And this is a very important role in Prince George's County Public Schools, and I take the opportunity very seriously. We are revving up our office. We have recently hired staff to support the work. You will soon, probably this Friday, receive notification from our communication team of how you can reach our office. And we will be glad to hear any concerns that you have. I will also say that although I'm very interested in the agenda for tonight, I'm unable to stay the entire time today because I have another meeting that I must attend. But again, I thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself to this body. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Well, if if there's no questions, that means I did a supercalifragilistic job, and I appreciate introducing myself. And I look forward
Well,
to, did I miss someone?
yes, this is Alicia Renee. How you
Okay.
doing,
I'm
Miss
wonderful.
Wilson? For the recording for the parents that aren't able to attend tonight, if you could just provide an overview of what the role of a budsman means, so parents have an understanding of that, right? I know you gave an overview of it, but if you can just really explain in more details of what that role does, and also what the process would be for parents to reach out to you.
Sure. Well, an ombudsman is, like I said, a neutral resource that acts independent of the school district to hear concerns and to make sure that our families, our staff, and our community is heard in any issues that are raised to the office. And we have the responsibility of transparency, being very transparent and confidential in hearing and of any concerns raised. How to reach our office. Like I said, this Friday, we're rolling out how to do that. We do have an email address that has been set up, ombudsman@pgcps.org is how you will reach us. And after Friday of this week, there should be a link that will lead you directly to the ombudsman's office. There will be resources on the page where you can uh, register any concerns that we will hear and track. We also have the responsibility of tracking the concerns that are raised so that the information that we gather in our data collection can improve through any recommendations that we have in our office. We also will have a focus in special education. We want to make sure that our superintendent, I'm sorry, wants to make sure that our special education team has a direct focus for raising concerns. And so our office will be there to be able to assist in that regard. I hope I answered your question.
So this Peggy Higgins, I had a follow up just for clarity. So
Hello,
you,
Peggy.
hi, and welcome,
Thank you.
or hello again.
Yes, hello. I know you.
So my question is your role really as a conduit for parents and schools of special education issues, or are you system wide? I
It
know
will be
there are other.
system-wide. It's system-wide, but we will be focusing in the area of special education.
Okay, so you have a specialization in special ed, but you will also be
Yes.
working with other parents.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a great question. Yes, Miss Valen, am I pronouncing that correctly? Of
Yes, that's correct. Hi, how are you, Miss Wilson? Thank you for being here.
course.
I wanted to ask, you mentioned that you would be collecting data as
Mhm.
well and reporting that. Who would that be reported to?
To the Board of Education. It is a policy that requires board policy 1500 that requires a quarterly report of the work of this office. And so that will go to the Board of Education.
Understood. And would that be publicly accessible?
Anything that is presented to the Board of Education is public. Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Great questions. Again, I thank you for the opportunity. It is my goal to make sure that Prince George's County Public Schools, we maintain a culture of trust and that we stay focused on what matters most, and that's the moral imperative, student achievement, and helping resolve these issues, I believe, will help us do that. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wilson. If any questions come up after you leave, we'll make sure we collect them and share them with you.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
Alita Jeree Carter is a nationally recognized advocate and public health consultant with deep expertise in disability rights for children, special education accountability, and family-centered strategy. A board-certified patient advocate and former pediatric nurse practitioner, she combines clinical insight with a systems lens shaped by years of federal public health service in program oversight, quality improvement, and data-driven performance management. Her work includes engagement with stakeholders and in matters where formal findings required corrective actions, strengthening state-level compliance and oversight, reinforcing her commitment to measurable accountability and meaningful student outcomes. She will be presenting What About the Data? And will focus on the essential role that data plays in developing individualized education programs, or IEPs, which values the contributions of both families and school-based providers equally, emphasizing the integration of data from both sources to support effective decision making. Can we give her a little round of applause? And whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you. I had to unmute. All right. So good evening, everyone. I'm proud to be here, and I'm going to jump right in the interest of time. Like many of you, we all have families to get to, and probably babies to tuck in for bedtime. So I will get right to it. So the title of my presentation is "What About the Data?" As stated before, my name is Alita Jeree Carter, and I am the Chief Consultant and founder of a company called Quality Access. I will drop my website link into the chat, but it'll also be on the slides at the end of the presentation. So I do have to give a disclaimer. My views are my own. The information provided is not to act as legal, financial, or medical advice. Participants should consult the necessary professional for advice. Today's objectives are by the end of this presentation, participants will be able to do the following: understand the collaborative communication model, define the word data, identify 4 or more sources of data, apply the difference between quantitative and qualitative data, and ask questions to provide context about data. So the collaborative communication model, it really encourages families, students, community members, family friends, and school staff members to work together toward mutual goals and to achieve a shared vision. According to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, specifically the statute was 1300.321. That's so funny. Okay, anyhow, parents are mandatory members of the IEP team and are equally valued. Parents and school-based team members have vital data to provide about the student. This data should address the academic, functional, developmental, and behavioral, pardon me, the dashboard is there, and behavioral strengths and the deficits of the student to meet legal mandates. This is not a preference, this is a requirement. So when you are in the context or even preparing for an IEP meeting, the conversation has to be inclusive of more than just grades. I had numerous experience over the years. I have 2 children with various disabilities. They both have IEPs where the service provision was being decided based upon their grades. Well, not every child that has a disability or that is eligible for an IEP is going to have failing grades or is going to be below grade level universally. In fact, most children are not unless there is an intellectual disability, which is a different discussion to be had. So without collaboration and input from school-based team, the family, and community-based providers, and I'm making this all-inclusive intentionally, the data is highly likely to be incomplete, and the decision-making required for the IEP will be negatively impacted if the data is incomplete. So 1 plus something equals something, and essentially that is kind of how these IEP meeting settings are experienced, where the school-based team is providing some level of data, but it's not really including all of the child's data. So you want to be able to understand the strengths and the deficits. And for most children, even children without an IEP, there are strengths and deficits. So if you are within the context of a meeting and you're only talking about strengths, you're not completely addressing that child. So we're going to do a quick 30-second exercise. I'm not going to be able to respond to the comments, but I want everybody to type into the chat using no more than 4 words. I want you to describe this image. And I'm setting a timer. I see one circle. I see one person that says a blue circle, a mid-sized blue circle, a circle, blue circle round, blue circle 1 inch diameter. Okay, Corey. Blue circle, single small, blue circle, round blue circle. All right, we are at 31 seconds. So great job, everyone. All right, so definition and sources. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, data is defined as factual information used as a basis for reasoning, discussion, or calculation. So data is information. And so I really want to help to take some of the intimidation or like some of the anxiety away, because a lot of times when people hear data, they kind of start to pull back or maybe feel less confident in terms of how they can represent their student, but data is just information. And data can be used for calculation. So sources of data vary, but for students, they can be grades, it can be testing data, it can be homework assignments, it can be reports from a parent or a student concerning their experience of behaviors, it can be emotions, or it could be descriptions about the academic setting. So for example, behaviors. John screams and cries when it's time to do homework. And on average, he uses 2 hours to answer 3 questions. This is very important because if you're at an IEP meeting and they're like, oh, well, Johnny's making straight A's, well, Johnny is spending about 20 hours per week on homework. And that's that qualitative data that is missed when you are strictly looking at a report card, but you're not evaluating the qualitative data. So what is the experience of that student? What is the experience of that family to be able to achieve that outcome? Or is Johnny doing his homework on the way home from school on the school bus and there is no struggle? But either way, that data does need to be collected to define the context. Emotions. Tyler expresses feeling anxious before going to school each morning. So that's an emotional descriptor. So, is Tyler having perfect attendance? Maybe he is, but maybe it's a real struggle for the family to get him out of the house in the morning. And so again, that's that full context. You want the qualitative and the quantitative data. And the academic setting. Javier reports that science is his favorite subject, but math makes his head hurt. So how does the child feel across academic environments? Sometimes the struggle isn't demonstrated in the grade, but maybe the student can tell you, well, science is really easy. Like I finish my work early, but maybe in math, my head starts to hurt and I'm really confused. Because again, even if that child is a straight A student, or maybe they're passing in all of their subjects, it doesn't mean that the effort put forward is the same in all of those subjects. And so again, we want the full picture of the student. How are they showing up? So quantitative versus qualitative data, none of these images are my own, and I have to disclaim that for copyright purposes. Qualitative data would include themes, patterns, and insights. So again, that's those behaviors. In what setting, how often are they occurring? So on a 3 out of 5 day school week, my child is reporting feeling stressed in math. And when they say stress, they're saying that their heart is racing or they're saying that their head is hurting. So really getting to those descriptors and identifying trends across settings. And then for the quantitative data, you would look at, numbers. So that's kind of, things that will occur like on a ratio scale, so from 0 to 10. So you could actually rate emotions if you wanted to. So, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how stressed out are you? And honestly, for children, that could be a very abstract question because it's turning a descriptor into a quantity. So in healthcare, we normally use like visual skills. We won't just give children words and tell them to kind of figure it out because we understand that developmentally that's not appropriate. And then there's statistics and then there are metrics. So here with feelings, this would be a good like visual skill to show to a child, like how do you feel when you're doing science? And then how do you feel when you're doing math? And this would be a good way to like get the child to really identify how they're feeling. And then this is a bell curve. So sometimes in IEP meetings, if the child has a number of assessments done, they will show you a bell curve and they'll talk about standard deviations. So standard deviations would be things that are outside of this kind of purple zone here, which is like pretty much the normal. And then there's the report card, which is a different type of data. So quantitative data includes ratio. The data has a zero that actually equals zero, meaning that if you see a value of zero, that means that there is an absence of value. So for weight, if a child is 0 pounds, that means that they weigh nothing, which we know is it's impossible as a human. But I'm just giving you an example. Same thing for height. If someone is 0 inches tall, that means that they have no height. If a child is 0 days old, that means that they are a newborn. Today is their birthday. And so then for interval, you have test scores or temperature, whereby 0 does not necessarily represent the absence of value. So for example, you can have it be 0 degrees Fahrenheit, but that still translates to an actual integer value in Celsius. And then also on certain assessments, there isn't an absolute 0. So for example, on one form of, maybe even more than one form, but at least one form of the IQ test, it's not possible to have 0 because it's assumed that as a human there's some level of intelligence. And so when you are in the context of an IEP meeting and you're hearing test scores, you want to understand the context. Is the 0 an absolute 0? Is the score the minimum score the only score that the child could have received, or is there actually opportunity for the child um, to regress, or like for their data to decrease? And then for qualitative data, there are labels such as gender, the place of birth, such as like a city, label of emotions, happy, sad, calm, ordinal, first, second, third. And so common experiences of this data in IEP teams are observations from functional behavioral analysis, student interviews. So once your student gets old enough, which in my opinion, once they are old enough to really start describing their emotions, and parents, this is work that you should be doing at home, because hopefully you are one of the first places that they report feeling stressed out or unhappy, especially if they have the intellectual capacity to do so. And then also staff input. So data must be complete. If only one type of data is discussed, such as standardized test scores or grades, the data is incomplete. There's no question about that. What about classwork? What about homework? What about the child's behaviors? Do you have home videos of the student trying to do homework at home and having a meltdown? All of these things should be able to contribute to the IEP team and their decision making. Data must demonstrate strengths and areas of impact for the IEP to be accurately developed, reviewed, or changed. And this is actually a mandate by the federal government. This is exactly what the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act spells out. This is not a preference. This is not my personal opinion. This is what the law says. So what did we learn from the exercise? To discuss data, we must understand standard definitions and context. So we saw a number of different descriptors, but everybody could pretty much understand what was being said. And I assume that even for like my Spanish speaking families, because circle is something that translates into Spanish, the great thing is that once something has a standard definition, it can be understood across context. And this is why you want to define the data and you want to give context to the data. So we could show this image and everybody knew what we were talking about. I didn't have to tell you that was a circle. I didn't have to tell you what qualifies it as a circle. That standard and that definition is universal across most known languages at this point. So meaning of data, we cannot understand the meaning of data if we do not understand the context, which includes the definition and other descriptive characteristics such as the minimum. So for a circle, there are no sides, there are no corners. Hey, we're here for a little bit of a geometry lesson, everyone. The maximum, the average, and in the extremes. Some people may have called the image a circle, others may have called it a shape, but for those that use either name, it is understood because the label circle or shape has a standard meaning in most languages that can be translated. Data requires discussion concerning the meaning, the application concerning our students' academic, functional, and behavioral impacts. So questions that you can pose to gain greater understanding of data is, can you provide me with the law, administrative policy, or procedure for this testing, this rule, or this decision? This is very important because this helps to build the context for what the data is being used and how the data has to be defined. So is this below grade level? Is this on grade level? Is this above grade level? All of these things have to be defined by a standardized context, or otherwise it lends itself to human error. And in special education, we don't want human error. That's why there's so many laws and administrative procedures around it, because we understand that it's a vulnerable population. They are minors. For the most part, and some of them have intellectual disabilities. And so ultimately, there is always an adult that's having to speak on behalf of the student for the most part. So how are labels defined? What is normal according to the standard of the test? What is abnormal? Is there a range? So, if you hear your student is normal, okay, what does that mean? Are they normal, meaning that they're at the 50th percentile, or are they at the low end of normal, meaning that if there is any type of event that they are going to be below, they're going to be below average? This is important because as a family, you need to be able to address risk within your home, especially because you want to be able to partner with your IEP team. Does zero indicate that there was a value in the context where it was discussed? So I use an example within the state's reporting. So in the state of Maryland, the report of students that are suspended for more than 10 days, if there is a zero reported, it does not necessarily indicate that no students have been suspended for 10 or more days. And then the other thing is there a different standard for zero? So according to the report that you may be looking at, especially if you are at the level where you're starting to look at county-based metrics or state-based metrics, sometimes the definition of a zero is less than 5 or less than 4. And then it actually is legal for the school or for the county or for the state to report that it's zero, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there is an absence of violations or that there is an absence of those type of reports. Questions to pose to gain greater understanding of the data. If the data does not show a disability according to the definition of the test, does it still demonstrate a need? Can you show me where the average student scores on this test where my child scored? Can you explain to me how this could impact their learning experience? What is the trend of the data? What was it 2 years ago? What was it last year? What direction is the data going in? Is there an improvement? Is there no improvement, but also no movement in the opposite direction? So has the child kind of hit a steady state where even though they're being exposed to new knowledge, they're not grasping it? There's no growth. Does the data show a decrease in scores over time? Is the child regressing? Are they moving in the opposite direction? So this is good to know information that I'm just going to go over. And so one, and I think all parents should know this information, but you have the right to request to have your IEP meeting recorded. Recording from your own records is also ideal should the school have challenges with providing you with the recording after the fact. This is a PGCPS administrative policy that actually tells you how to do that. Students with disabilities who are disciplined or removed in a manner that meets criteria for exclusion, meaning being removed from instructional environments or activities. And this doesn't necessarily have to be disciplinary. So I do want to highlight that because sometimes I know what I personally experienced was that I was being called to pick up my child from school, but they weren't being formally suspended. However, if you as a parent are being called to pick up your child and they're not sick, you do have the right to request that it be documented that you were called to remove your child. And then you also have the right to request for it to be documented either as a suspension or not as a suspension, because it does count as exclusion. So if your student is removed for 10 or more days, legally a manifestation determination review must be held. And essentially this is a meeting where the school-based team and the family is supposed to come together and discuss if the disciplinary action is tied to disability related behaviors. So is Johnny being removed for using expletives when there's a known diagnosis of Tourette syndrome and Johnny always uses expletives, and this isn't something that is a voluntary behavior? So these are things that, again, this data has to have context. Good to know information. Again, the reality is that we have no idea exactly how many children are removed from school. So this is from the National Disability Rights Network to just show that it actually isn't an uncommon circumstance for students to be called, the term is informally removed. um, from schools off the books because school districts do not have to include these removals in reports to the public. So if you are called as a parent and asked to pick up your child from school, the school must clarify if the request is a suspension or provide the legal mandate or administrative policy for the removal of the student upon request. So you have to request it. Informal removals can take the shape of repeated sent homes by the school, shortened school days, mandatory homebound placement with little or no education, or other methods being put into place and formally documented within the IEP. So this is my contact information. My name is Alita Jerry Carter, my email address, my website, the services that I provide, parent training and education, resource coordination, in collaboration with families, staff training and education, because again, no system is perfect, but hopefully the system is at least self-aware enough to understand that it needs improvement, and it reaches out to authoritative and peer-reviewed sources to help actually improve upon what's already happening. And then advocacy training as well. These are my sources because I use, again, credible, authoritative sources. I don't like to give an opinion because often in special education, opinions are given too often and they're not legally based. And that's what we want. We want the law in special education, not opinions, not personalities. These are some resources for families to access. I tried to provide them both in Spanish and English. Not everything that I found in English was available in Spanish, but I tried the best that I could to make sure that I was also giving resources that are applicable to our Spanish families. And I want to thank them for attending as well. And then Appendix B, I'm not going to read this to you line for line, but again, this is actually, these are some evidence-based practices according to the Council for Exceptional Children. I'm not here to speak on behalf of them, but essentially this is an international professional organization that really advocates for students that are exceptional, so intellectually gifted, as well as those that are disabled. And these are some high-level practices that were actually highlighted in one of their most landmark peer review articles that they released. So one of the high-level practices is collaboration. Organize and facilitate effective meetings with professionals and families. And I really want to stress that because oftentimes as families, you may show up to an IEP team and maybe there are 5 to 7 other people that are school-based and you feel like you have less of a voice, but legally that is not accurate. As a family, your one voice or two voice is just the same weight as the school-based team. Neither side has more weight than the other or more importance than the other. And this is really important in a collaborative model because there is data that families have to provide because you live with the student that the IEP team is not going to have because they don't live with the student. Sometimes students are very regulated and they're able to mask, meaning that they're able to kind of hide their emotions, they're able to internalize their anxiety, and then when they get home, the full meltdown is happening. There are refusals. Sometimes there's physical aggression. Sometimes the child is just tearful. These things are things that a school team may not see, but hopefully if they're collaborative, they are taking a report of that and into consideration so that they can work with you. And then another practice is, again, you want to collaborate with families and students to support learning and secure the needed services. So teachers collaborate with families about the individual's child needs. Teachers should respectfully and effectively communicate considering the background, socioeconomic status, language, culture, and the priorities of the family. Teachers advocate for resources to help students meet instructional, behavioral, social, and transitional goals. And building positive relationship with students, teachers encourage the students to self-advocate. So this is very important. One of the things that I was happy to hear was the transition fair, but often as families, we don't prepare our students for transition. Especially if your child has a lifelong disability, the goal is that you are bringing them into the IEP meeting so that they can start to understand their own services and accommodations. And that way, when they become adults, this isn't a new topic for them. They aren't unfamiliar with advocating for themselves and expressing when they're dissatisfied with a service or when they need more of a service. So it's really important. I have a 7-year-old child and a 9-year-old child. My 9-year-old has been coming to her own IEP meetings for 2 years now. My 7-year-old, we just started bringing the IEP meetings. He doesn't really have the bandwidth, but I normally will at least have him to come into the room and to introduce himself. But he knows as he gets older, we're already like verbally preparing him. The expectation is that you attend these IEP meetings, because these accommodations are not for mommy and daddy. These accommodations are for you. And then I think there may be one more. Did I go backwards? Okay, that's 3. I think I went backwards. So yes, I'm sorry. And then this is high practice 4. So use multiple sources of information to develop a comprehensive understanding of a student's strengths and needs. So again, this is that all-inclusive review of the data. And I'm really stressing this because I really hope that this is something that, even if you aren't experiencing this as a family, especially with some of the special education leadership being present today, I really hope that this is something that becomes a goal, if it's not already a goal, to make sure that there is a collaborative environment between families and IEP teams, where both sides understand that, we are half of the student's experience. And we need to be able to come together to make the student whole. And so again, to develop a deep understanding of a student's learning needs, special educators compile a comprehensive learner profile through use of a variety of assessment measures and other sources that are sensitive to language, culture, analyze and describes the student's strengths and needs. And you will see this over and over again, strengths and needs. So that is another question that you can pose at an IEP meeting. Does this reflect my child's strengths and needs? You need to have both. And if you don't have both, you need to take the time to gather data on both and to review data on both. And then there's me again. And that's it. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present.
Thank you so much for that presentation. It had really great information for all of us to consider. And thank you so much for taking the time to present to us. I know you have a hard stop at 7:30. I was like, are we gonna have time for questions if there's questions? So I'm glad that we had time to have, I know some questions went through the chat and people were asking about getting the presentation so they can have it for their records. So you can look forward to getting that later. So thank you so much.
Ms. Genevieve, I just wanted to come off mute and acknowledge we do have board member Amy Olivo that has joined us. So I just wanted to recognize her if she's still here with us.
Thank you, Trinell. Ms. Bowman, thank you so much.
All right, so we can move into our next presenter. Corey Smith is a certified therapeutic recreation specialist, park and recreation professional, and a certified ADA coordinator. In 2012, she began her career with the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, otherwise known as MNCPPC, the Department of Parks and Recreation of Prince George's County. She currently serves as the Training Community Outreach Coordinator for the Disability Services team, where she trains department staff on their roles and responsibilities in complying with the Americans with Disabilities Act and the latest techniques and supports for working with people with disabilities. She's also one of my coworkers. So I've known her since she started. She's going to be presenting summer camp options that are offered by MNC PPC. So I will hand it over to you, Corey.
Get it sent out. There are active links and there's information about some upcoming spring programs as well. So I want to make sure that we get to summer camps tonight, because the key thing is that summer day camp registration begins on Saturday, March 7th. So that is not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday at 9 a.m. If you have not already received your day camp guide in the mail, they are available for pickup at your local community center, and it's available online. So with that being said, just a quick overview of the department. We are a 6-time gold medal winning agency. And as you can see, we have a lot of resources available for you, our community members, and your families. So Disability Services is just one entity within the department, and our purpose is to serve to provide Prince George's County residents and visitors with disabilities opportunities to participate in community recreation programs of their choice. And that's the big thing that we want to emphasize, is that you have a choice and people have a choice in how to recreate. So we are not here to tell you that you have to participate in a therapeutic recreation program if you have a disability. If you want to complete or participate in an inclusive environment and you meet the eligibility requirements of that program, and you can maintain safety and follow the rules for safety and guidance and the code of conduct with or without a reasonable accommodation, then you are welcome to participate in an inclusive setting, and we will be there to support you through our program access office. So we can provide reasonable modifications and supports upon request with, we do ask that you register a minimum of 2 weeks in advance of the program start date so that we can work through an interactive process to build an individualized modification for your student or yourself if you are the person with a disability. Some of our services include adaptive equipment that we can provide. We can provide text and alternative formats, sign language interpreters, the use of companions where someone of your choice, you yourself, or someone of your choosing can come in with the participant to provide supports at no additional cost. It's not to participate in the program with them, but to support them in the program. These happen a lot in our drop-in programs, or if somebody has complex medical needs, you could send a nurse in with your child if they needed to a nurse to be able to participate. And finally, we do offer trained support staff to increase the ratio of the program. So if an inclusive program has a ratio of 1 to 15, and your child needs additional supervision and support to be successful in that type of environment, we can increase the ratio by adding in another staff. So now we're bringing the ratio down to a 1 to 7.5. So this is the contact information for our program access office. You can email them at program.access@pgparks.com. You can also reach out to them by phone. But once you register, so when you set up an account, you're going to be asked to indicate if you have a disability accommodation need. And once you have that set up, they'll be able to reach out to you. I'm going to skip through that and then talk quickly about therapeutic recreation programs. These programs are designed specifically to meet the needs of our community members with disabilities and facilitate the development of leisure and recreation skills, socialization, independence, quality of life, all the wonderful things. These programs are more structured than our inclusive programs. So our inclusive programs where activities may last about 45 minutes. Our therapeutic recreation programs, the activities are usually going to last about 15 to 20 minutes or less, depending on the needs of the participants within that program. And our therapeutic recreation programs are more developed around the registered participants versus our inclusive programs where we have the program set and it's developed and we're working to modify and support participation within that program. Again, utilized highly trained staff. We have adaptive equipment. Ratios are higher. So most of our programs have a 1 to 2 or a 1 to 4 staff to participant ratio. We have a couple that are 1 to 6, but we have more staff in the programs. These group sizes also usually max out about at 15 participants max. We do have a couple social clubs and other events or programs where they might be a higher program, but or higher, my brain totally just went break, higher capacity numbers. And then therapeutic recreations programs are specifically for Prince George's County residents only because they are highly subsidized by your taxpayer dollars. And again, they're such small programs that we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our county residents. So Spring Guide is available to view online if you're looking for classes or programs right now. And we have a lot of TR therapeutic recreation programs coming up during spring break. So we can talk about those if we have time. The big thing that we're here to focus on today, summer camps. So again, summer camp registration starts on Saturday, March 7th. We have camps beginning. I actually need to update this slide. We do have We Wonder camps that are half-day camps that are for ages 3, 4, and 5. They run usually from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. or from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. They're only at a select few centers, but we do have that available for our younger youth. Most of our day camps are for youth ages 6 to 12. We have teen summer camps for ages 13 to 17. And then our therapeutic recreation camps are for ages 6 to 21. And they're usually broken down into 2 groups of ages 6 to 12 or 13 to 21. Throughout the department, we offer a variety of camps. Some of them on this slide. We also have drama camps. We also have modeling camps or sewing camps or gymnastics. So we really have a wide, diverse offering of summer camps available for you. And they can all be found in our summer day camp guide. So it is available online. Or again, you may have gotten it in your mailbox, or it's available for you to pick up at one of our community centers. Our therapeutic recreation summer camps are listed on page 60 or beginning on page 60. So if you want to click directly to that one instead of looking through the entire guide, I do have it linked here for you as well. For our therapeutic recreation summer camps this summer, we are going to have 3 camps at Huntington Community Center and Marlow Heights. So Splash and Dash Summer Enrichment Afternoon Camp, which is SEEK. SEEK at Marlow Heights is not listed in the summer day camp guide, so just be aware of that, but it is available and will be open for registration on March 7th with everything else. Unfortunately, we got the approval to be in Marlow Heights too late, and so we couldn't get it into the guide, but Marlow Heights will be a location for SEEK. SEEK is an afternoon summer camp, so this is really designed for our students who participate in ESY extended school year. They can go to some extended school year, and then they can come to the after school program or the after school summer camp, basically. I need to update this. I'm just now seeing that it says 9 a.m. to 4:30. SEEK does not run 9 a.m. to 4:30. It runs 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. So there's no aftercare available for it because it runs until the close of what a normal aftercare would be. So 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. for SEEK. And then again, SEEK follows the extended school year, so it only runs Monday through Thursday. So if you're looking for a Friday opportunity for full days, we have Fantastic Fridays, which again will be happening at Huntington and Marlow Heights. And it runs from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with before care and after care available. Before care and after care are separate registrations, and you will not be able to register for those on March 7th because we want to make sure everybody has a chance to get into their summer camps, and we don't want to create a backlog. So just be aware of that. You can register for before and after care later. If you are in the summer camp, you are guaranteed a spot in the before and after care if you choose to take advantage of it. It is an additional registration fee. I think it's like $25 for the week or for the week, I think. But again, that is available for you. These are our programs that are for ages 6 to 21. And they, again, these programs usually have a 1 to 2 staff to participant ratio. Other camps we offer are Camp Recreate. It's going to be I believe it's going to be at Palmer Park Community Center and Largo Kettering Perrywood. Don't quote me on the Palmer Park. I don't have my guide in front of me. But it's a 1 to 4 staff to participant ratio. And Camp Recreate is a 1-week session camp. There's multiple, every session is 1 week versus Splash and Dash is a 2-week summer camp, or SEEK is 1 month. So it runs the full time of ESY, and then Fantastic Fridays. Traveling Teens is also a 2-week, they're doing 1-week sessions this year. And Traveling Teens is for ages 13 to 21. It's a 1 to 4 staff to participant ratio. And then Teen Adventure Camp is a 1-week camp that we do in collaboration with Camp Schmidt from PGCPS. So there's a lot of eco education involved, outdoor activities, lots of walking, exploring plants and animals, incorporates the environmental education and the daily activities. And so the week that Teen Adventure runs, Traveling Teens does not operate that week, usually because the teens who register for Traveling Teens participate in Teen Adventures. So those are the day camps specifically that we have. There was something else I was going to mention about summer day camps, and I completely forgot what it was. Oh, for registration on March 7th, be aware that in order to avoid crashing the website, we set up a queue. So when you log into the website before 9 or a little before 9, you're going to be put into an automatic queue, and you'll be let into the website as people rotate out. And it's to help keep the flow of traffic moving, but also to give people time to look. So once you get into the website, you don't have to rush to be like, oh my gosh, I need to get this one. I need to get this one. You can, take your time and look through things and then do your checkout and then finish your registration. I would recommend that you plan ahead and go ahead and look through the guide pick out the camps that you are interested in, have your list, work with your student to find out what they are interested in, and write down the activity guides or have a list, activity numbers, or have a list so that when you go in on registration day, you can just type those in to make it easier for you to find. Just from a parent who has done registration multiple summers in a row, it's just easier to have those activity numbers ready to go to key in. Jen, how am I doing on time?
You still have about 10 minutes.
Oh, fantastic. All right. I'm going to run through a few other things and then I want to open it up for questions. So we do offer therapeutic recreation programs year round. So it's not just summer school or during the summer camp that we offer things. We have adapted aquatics and fitness lessons, individualized swim lessons. Our spring individualized swim lessons are full. However, we do still have some spaces available during spring break. So if you are not looking for a full day summer camp and you are looking for some swim lesson opportunities during spring break, there are some available. And I believe that's happening at Teresa Banks this spring. We have a performing arts club for Jen. Jen runs this one? I believe it's ages.
So it's adults 21 and up.
21 and up. Okay, so if any of you have students who have graduated, also living at home, this is a performing arts club is a fun one that Jen runs that they do a great job with. Seasonal programs. We have a spring fling that's coming up on April 11th. It's for ages 13 and up. It's our spring dance at Laurel Beltsville Senior Activity Center. And then a big event after you go to the Prince George's County School Autism Summit on the 18th, you can come join us for the Glow Walk at Watkins Regional Park. This is to raise awareness, acceptance for autism, and it raises money for our UFIT scholarship, which is a scholarship, a non-financial need scholarship to send kids with disabilities to a summer camp through Parks and Recreation. Unfortunately, the scholarship has closed for this year. It ended on February 15th, but it will open again next year. We never want fees or finances to be a barrier to participation. So we do have a couple of different options. Not listed on here, we have a Kids to Camp scholarship that is income based. There's information on our website about that. And I believe they just posted a social media video about it. It came out yesterday. So if you go to our social media pages, you can find a video that talks about our Kids to Camp scholarship there. But year round, we have our fee assistance program that is income based. You do need to submit your tax transcripts, your most recent tax transcripts, and or a certificate of non-filing. And then depending on your household income, you can receive anywhere from a 10 to a 90% fee reduction on programs that are over $35. Fee assistance does not work for our summer playtimes, formerly summer playgrounds, which is a summer camp type program that runs for about 6 weeks, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Summer playtimes are loosely structured. These can be challenges for some of our kids with disabilities because of the lack of structure in them and the high quantities of participants. Some of them only have 25 participants, but other ones can have, over 100 kids registered. So just be mindful and diligent when you're looking for summer camp opportunities. Be aware of your child's needs and what's going to be a good fit for them. And what are things, focus on their strengths. What are things that they like? Find summer camps that are really going to focus on their strengths and interests. Other year-round opportunities that we have, and we still have openings for this. I know it's late in the school year, but we still have after-school programs with openings. So we have openings at Vansville Recreation Building up in Beltsville, Marlow Heights, and at South Bowie. If you have somebody over the age of 13, we have openings at our Leisure and Life Skills program that's at Tucker Road. If you have questions about after school programs, Genevieve Janai actually oversees and supervises those. So she's happy to answer any direct questions you may have about those programs. And then volunteer opportunities. We know all of our babies need a certain number of volunteer hours before they can graduate. So we have volunteer opportunities throughout the department. And again, they're on our website underneath the Get Involved tab. So I think that's everything that I have to share with you tonight, other than the things that I did not, that I breezed through very quickly. But I do definitely wanted to leave time for questions because I know there's always so many questions about our programs and services. So, and I'll send this presentation to SECAC so they can share it with you as well.
Any questions for Corey?
Okay, with no
No
questions.
questions for you either.
That never happens. It's great.
Take your blessings while you can.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your presentation and your time too, Corey.
Absolutely. Anytime. I need to get on SECAC more often because I am a parent. And so I'm registered now. So I got it on my calendar so I can join you try and remember to join every month as well. So.
And you did great with the blue circle.
Yes, you did.
It's my CTRS background and data background. Everything has to be measurable and specific.
1 inch.
Great. If there's no questions for Corey, we can open up to the parent comment period. If anybody has any comments, concerns, or questions, I will try to answer it my best. Or
Before we do that, I needed to give the treasurer update that was supposed to be on the agenda.
Sounds good. You go ahead. I'm handing it over to Alicia.
Thank you. So, good evening, members. I wanted to update you on a couple of things. PGCPS has confirmed in writing that SECAC PG has an MSDE SECAC grant balance of $900 remaining for this grant period, July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. And we were seeking members' input on how to use those remaining funds on allowable purposes. There should have been a poll that went out, but I don't think it did. But there was some. We were looking at maybe spending the money on SECAC board member training or professional development aligned to the SECAC duties. We were looking at parent-facing educational workshops, like more speakers, and or any other ways that you guys. So if you have any suggestions or ideas on how you would like the money to be spent, please, put it in the chat so that we could make a vote, make a motion to vote. I also believe that our chair was looking to have donate the money back to the Family Support Center for a conference. So that the members get to decide how the remaining of that funds is left. We $200 of that money is also available for outreach. So printing materials, etc. So again, members, this
Alicia, you froze.
is your time. The opposed. So, oh no, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. It's just your face froze.
Okay, no worries. Yes. So yeah. So are we gonna do a poll or what is the plan? I haven't been out of the loop.
Samantha, did you have to?
We'll probably have to discuss it at the next meeting. I'm not sure. Poll is a good idea. And then also if they want to attend the public meetings we have for Tuesday of every month to give their input, we can talk about that then. I don't think
but we talked about it on our January meeting. But yeah, so I said we had talked about it for the January meeting because I know PGCPS is looking for us to I believe they wanted an answer before the end of the month. That's but again,
before the end of this month. I didn't know if you wanted input from the parents and the community to give them a chance to give their input of how they wanted to spend those funds. So I was saying that's why we could do a poll now. We can, but I don't think we've come up with a definitive way to get that input from them. You can also reach us on our website as well. But if you want to do it now, you can run a poll now if you want to. And when you're done, I have an announcement I wanted to make about the bylaws. Did you want to do a poll now, Alicia?
How
Or
would the poll be
what suggestions
distributed?
did you have? Because I don't, that's what
It
I'm
was
saying.
discussed at our
I don't
January
think we
board
came
meeting.
up with an exact way to do that. That's why I was suggesting having that conversation at the next meeting, because I don't think we established how we were going to receive that input. But we do need to have an answer soon so we can spend the funds before the end of the year.
And if anybody wants to put in the comments too, any of their ideas, that can be recorded as well. Alicia put it.
I will have to reach out to Janie, Alicia, about that.
About the listserv.
She's the one that's shut the listserv down. So I would have to talk to Janie and ask her. And can I have an announcement once Alicia's done, really quickly? I know we're getting short on time.
Well, I'm done. That was the update. I just we had to have a conversation and let the members know what the balance was remaining and to post that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. I wanted everyone to know the bylaws draft has been posted. You all have 30 days for review, and then we should be voting at the next meeting, fourth Tuesday of the month. If you have any questions or concerns, you can email Janie or me. My email I'll put my email in the chat, or you can reach us by the website at secacpg.org. We had submitted everyone's feedback into the bylaws, and they are also according to the regulation MDSC, COMAR, OMA, and IDEA. So just let me know if you all have any questions. I just wanted to let you all know that link is at this website here. Sorry, I didn't even post it yet. It's in the chat. The link is at that website. Thank you. That was all I had to say.
So Peggy said if you want input, it would be helpful if you'd send a list of the suggestions and allocation for our consideration. Thank you for that.
Working on it now.
Thank you, Alicia.
I'm gonna put it in the chat. I'm trying to edit it because I sent it out and I got to take out the January date.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Tanisha, you have your hand up.
Yes. One second. Good evening. I rise today because SECAC is at a crossroad, and our responsibility is to protect the integrity of this committee and the families we serve. Over the past months, we have witnessed actions that undermine the trust and transparency that SECAC is supposed to stand on. The chair and at times the vice chair allowed PG County Public Schools legal counsel to attend our meetings without announcing their presence. Parents currently in due process were in the room. Families who came here seeking support instead found themselves speaking under the silent observation of the very legal office they are challenging. That is not transparency. That is not neutrality. And it is certainly not the safe space SECAC is mandated to provide. We have also seen attempts to silence parent and family voices, restricting communication, discouraging open dialogue, and narrowing the space for honest discussions. SECAC exists because of families, not in spite of them. When leadership suppresses the voices of the very people this committee is meant to uplift, we have a structural problem, not a personality conflict. For these reasons, I'm introducing a vote of no confidence in the chair and, if necessary, the vice chair. This is not punitive. This is corrective. It is a statement that leadership must be accountable, transparent, and aligned with SECAC's mission, not with institutional interests. And because SECAC deserves leadership that listens, that protects families, and that understands the weight of this role, I nominate Alicia and Jen to serve as chair and vice chair. Alicia has demonstrated integrity, clarity, and commitment to ensuring that every family's voice is heard without fear or intimidation. Jen has also done the same, and she brings a lot to the table with her resources. This moment is about restoring trust. It's about reaffirming that SECAC belongs to the community, and it is about ensuring that our leadership reflects the values we claim to uphold. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I'm really very concerned that these meetings are consistently not following. Everybody isn't following the guidelines that we're supposed to follow in regards to this meeting. The rules say, in terms of how we're supposed to proceed, that we're not to challenge or attack others. The discussions on lists are meant to stimulate conversation and not create contention, and that we're not to defame, disparage, or criticize any person, company, or organization. And, it's really distressing to kind of continually have hostility at these meetings, and would suggest that we as a group decide how to handle it, because consistently we start with a certain number, we get less and less people participating because of the hostility. I'm not saying that we can't have a conversation about difference of opinions, but we are not following the rules in this guideline. And I'm sure I'm about to get blasted for making that point.
Thank you for your comment.
Can
Samantha,
I
you
go?
have your hand up next.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jen. So sorry to hear that, Tanisha, that you feel that way. I reached out, spoke to a parent about the attorney that had attended the meeting. And to clarify, these are public meetings. We are not allowed to tell people they can't attend the meeting. The attorney that was there, he had a right to be there. I wasn't sure if he was a parent. I didn't even know he was there or who he was. And that wasn't brought to our attention until I think a month or so after the meeting. I spoke to Janie. Neither one of us asked him to be there. Um, but I agree with Peggy. There has been a lot of attacks on Janie and I, very unfairly so, since the beginning of last year. So we've been enduring that and just trying to do our job as best we can to serve the parents. And so there are some things going on in the background, and we will be dealing with that in the background. So that's all I wanted to say to address that situation. And we have been being very transparent. We don't have ulterior motives, even though I do feel as there are some other people in our group that do have ulterior motives. And so that's been something of a concern for us. And that's being addressed. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanisha, you had your hand up again, right?
Yes. So, question for Samantha. If the listserv is down and parents cannot engage on there and share information, and we can only email you all directly, other than these meetings, and now you're saying that you're feeling attacked, which is not what I was meaning to say or how I was trying to present myself. I'm literally trying to resolve some issues that I see that are going on from the past. How are parents supposed to communicate with each other and share information if we're supposed to be supporting each other? And it doesn't feel like
So,
there's an inability to do it.
so SECAC is not that we don't have to have a listserv. Like, that's an administrative tool to put out information and for parents, if they have questions about things that's going on in the community, like when are the meetings, or I'm having trouble with my child's IEP, can someone assist me? Like, that is to foster a community environment. And when you all are going back and forth in the email, the listserv, that was inappropriate, and that's not what the listserv is even for. Then it also was violating the OMA, which I told you all in the emails as you went back and forth, that we are not allowed to discuss the information you all were discussing in the OMA. I really didn't have any other way to say that. And I couldn't go back and forth with you because then I would be in violation along with you. So at that point, I have to recuse myself to protect myself. And I was told to do that. And so that at that point, we had to close the listserv because you all weren't listening. If you wanted to have conversations with other parents, you can form groups as we did. When my children were at Moppy, we had a parent group of our own. We were on WhatsApp together, I think it was some type of app we had came up with. But to sit there and expect us to do all these things you're asking just beyond our means is unfair. And so you've been attacking us when we've been trying to do our best to just do our jobs. And it's constantly attacked to the point where we're not able to really have been able to accomplish nearly as much as we have done in previous years. So like as far as like the outreach, we haven't seen any outreach efforts happening, but yet you all wanted to give money over to them. And we're like, well, where is the current outreach? Like I know for me, when I was doing outreach, I was listing at least on the Facebook page, events that were coming up, things like that. So that's all I wanted to say. I don't want to, I know the meeting's running short, but that's my answer to your question, Tanisha.
And I do appreciate that. One thing I just want to highlight is that the last email that SECAC sent out on a listserv was about stuff that parents can do, go into the board to speak up and, maybe write something in favor of something that's political. But yet, if some other parent puts something political on there, then you want to silence them and remove them from the listserv. So I feel like you all pick and choose your battles on whatever political interest you all have as well. So I'm just throwing it out there, and I'm not trying to attack anyone. I literally just want this to be about family supporting each other the way it used to be when I first joined back in 2020. And so it's just way different right now than what it used to be. And the schools weren't as involved on every monthly basis. It was more about just family. And that's the way I thought it was supposed to be ran according to the law. So thank you.
You're welcome. And we did have the listserv shut down last year for something like this with the parent-parental strike. That was some things going on that was, kind of a little bit hostile. So this happened in the past. So this isn't us attacking you or anything personal. It's just whenever we see that happening and we're losing some, people are unsubscribing because of the conflict, and that poses that it defeats the purpose of the listserv. So that was our concern as well. I'm not sure you're talking about the political thing, but that's
no,
all
I was talking about whenever you all said that we needed to write something in for some bills and things like that were coming up and having parent voices
yeah,
heard
those are
through
bills
senators
related
and
to
yeah.
special
And so
education. Yeah,
yeah, and even
it
if
was
something
just
else
that
is
was just
related to
like an
special
announcement,
education,
though.
you still silence other parents' voices in the past for political
No,
stuff.
we didn't
So that's
silence
all.
you. We said you can go to the website
No,
and post
not
your
me, other
feedback.
parent.
Any
No,
parent. We
yeah,
said go to,
other
so
parents
we
can
have a
silence.
procedure and no one wants to follow it. Everyone's always usurping what we're trying to tell you to do as a chair and the vice chair. Like even you just saying, it's like no one's listened to us this whole year anyway. So we said we gave you the feedback. We give you means to provide your input. We have a website where you can see comments. You all just want to talk amongst each other. That's the thing that we don't have to provide. Like that's something you all can do amongst each other. So
Would you all be
or
willing
you
to
can
step
come
down?
to the public meetings that we have every fourth Tuesday of the month. So no one's silencing anyone. The meetings are
When are those
there.
posted?
The meetings are there. Everyone knows when we're having them. They're literally the same time every month for years and years. And we gave you a form and we said, please provide your feedback. And we implemented those changes into the bylaws. We included those. So I'm just, it's basically whatever we do is never good enough. So we're trying.
Okay, thank you. For time, 7:56, Trinell and Alicia have their hands up. So Trinell, you are next up online.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I know I have a few of our staff members still on the line, if there was any specific questions to PGCPS staff in the last 4 minutes.
Thank you. Any questions,
I'm going
anyone?
to raise that.
Going once.
And then if not, based on the discussion, I'm not sure if the CCAC board wants to resume these conversations in a different meeting or different setting.
I know we'll be having a meeting. Our next meeting is, Samantha, I think it's Tuesday,
March.
right?
We said March.
Yeah.
Yes. So all of our discussions we have,
moved from monthly to quarterly. So that's
Yes.
why we really haven't been
Yeah.
able to get any work done, because we moved from monthly to quarterly. And so I think that means
it
it's
was
my
also
time.
because of the
We
conflict of
have 4
timing.
minutes left. I'm sorry, Samantha, what are you saying?
I said it was also because of all the conflict, like we were having back and forth. We have no problem having extra meetings if we're actually going to be able to get some work done and not just be argumentative or, so
Again, the monthly executive board meetings were monthly and they were changed to executive. I'm just putting that on the record. And my question, for the sake of time, right, is about the outreach. So the questions about the outreach, when we joined as new members, we were told that there was no money available. And I was just recently told as the treasurer that we have a $900 balance and that we could use. I was told when I joined this board that the balance was all spent on the updated website, right, for our Nikki Mall. So the fact that we have this new money, right, is up to the members to decide and vote. We are to bring it to the members to vote on how the money should be spent, right? And to let them know that we have this available funding as well as the outreach, right? There is $200 members available for outreach, right? How do you guys want to see that money spent? That is not conflict. That is them people not liking dissent because a disagreement of opinions on what members should have rights to.
I'm confused. You said you want to know how to spend the money for outreach. Is that what you're asking? So as for the executive board, like you said, it's four times this year we had it because of everything that we were going through in the back end. But we can always have emergency meetings, and we have done that this year. If you wanted to have a meeting to have further discussion of what we're having right now, because I know this meeting is ending and people have places to go or things to do. And then for the public, though, the meetings are still monthly. If they have questions or they wanted to vote on those funds and how they wanted to be spent, we have that meeting for Tuesday of every month, and the next one is in March, the end of the month.
And that should be posted on our website for the next meeting. So if anyone wants to come, please sign up via the website so we can hear your feedback at that meeting as well. It is 8:00.
Can I make one comment? I had my hand raised. I just wanted to put out there if there are other parents like myself who are interested in maintaining communication when we're not in these meetings. I did just put together a Google form before everybody disperses into the abyss, but that's something that I would appreciate. And yeah, if there are others that feel similarly, feel free to complete that form at the link that I put in the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra.
With that being said, thank you all for coming to this meeting tonight.